Okay, my video today is going to get into vocation and work and happiness, and I'm going to combine some themes that have been emerging in the last few videos. But I thought I'd start off with this, a small indication of the monsoon season that we're in right now in Cambodia, which explains, among other things, why I don't always go out and do my videos in the street. But I'm going to get started anyway, and I'm going to wait for this to stop, and then I will go down towards the river, I expect, and we'll start talking about work and happiness and vocation. So let's get started. Okay, well, here I am at the beginning of the Mekong Delta. The Mekong is in that direction, flowing towards the sea. And up here, the Mekong is in the distance, and then this river is the Tonle Sap River. Tonle Sap is an interesting river because it flows between here and the Tonle Sap Lake in the north. But it flows in two directions. Half the year it flows down towards the Mekong Delta, and half the year it flows up towards Tonle Sap Lake. And its direction is determined by the monsoon. When the Tonle Sap River is filled by the monsoon, the Tonle Sap River flows down towards the Mekong. But in the dry season, when the Tonle Sap Lake becomes dry or low in water, it doesn't become completely dry, but it does become low. When it becomes lower, then the river moves from here up to the Tonle Sap Lake. I believe it's unique in that respect. Now, why I'm at a river is because I want to talk about work today. And work, in physics terms, is the use of energy or force to move mass over distance. And so the imperial measure of work is the foot-pound. That is the amount of work produced by moving a pound mass over a foot in distance. So, why rivers? Well, the thing is that rivers can produce work. The Mekong River here is used by the Hydroelectric Power Authority of Cambodia to produce electricity for the country. And it produces work by flowing downhill and in the process turning turbines which turn magnets which produce electricity. So it makes the electricity, or part of the electricity, for the country. One of the big problems this year has been that there's been low rainfall during the dry season. It's been drier than usual, and so the Mekong has been lower than usual, which has meant that sometimes the hydro plants can't function. So for 2 months we had daily power outages because we don't have enough power generated in the system to have it functioning at 100% 24 hours a day. All right, that's the physics of work. Now, one of the things that you'll also know about the flow of streams is that it's an awful lot easier to go with the flow than to go against the flow. And in fact, in Spanish, we have a proverb which I'll translate into English, which is that if you swim upstream, eventually you will get tired and the river will take you downstream. So that is, whether you choose to fight the stream or go with it, ultimately you're going to go with it. Well, I'm not sure about that in total when it comes to your life, because I think some people fight against the stream all of their lives and they don't just tire, they die.
Oh, yeah.
So die.
Tadi baju. Oh, beautiful.
Auckland.
Yeah.
Snack now ni Phnom Penh, beach nam.
Can speak.
Dia kemai.
Chiran?
Stage.
I spot you always go to.
All right, well, that was an unfortunate interruption. I tried to get rid of him. He was a tuk-tuk driver who wanted to show me places, and I spoke nothing but Khmer to him, hoping that he would get the hint that I don't need anyone to take me around, and I understand the place, and I told him in Khmer that I've lived here for 2 years, and on and on and on, and he still wasn't going away. So I ended up having to edit him out a little bit. I left him there a little bit just so that you can see what my life is like, and otherwise edited him out. And now I'm at a fountain some way away from the river, but it's going to make another point for me. This is a certain kind of fountain that's working against gravity. So it's not like a river that's flowing down to the sea. It's working against the force of gravity. And now I'll take you to another fountain that is not working against gravity. Now you can see a completely different kind of fountain. This fountain flows from the top down using the force of gravity. And it is completely different from the fountains I just showed you that are working against gravity. There's my most important point, and now I'm going to continue back to my apartment. Here we are approaching my street. And I'm going to head back to my apartment. Alright, so I'm now back home in my apartment, and I can finish up. And I can also say that what's most likely in future videos is that there will be some video outside and some talking head inside. Although I'm not sure yet. I'm still working around the various problems of being outside and being interrupted, or being inside but not being particularly visually stimulating. All right, so let's conclude. I gave you the definition, or at least a simple version of the definition of work in physics. There's actually a lot of definitions depending on what kind of energy is involved, and I just gave a basic physical, mechanical example of a definition in physics of the use of force to move an object with mass over space. There's no need to get more technical. It does get more technical, but we'll leave it at that, because the definition in physics can be used for the rivers and for the fountains. And what we have there is work to move water, and the water also does work moving other things, so that if you're in the stream, you can swim down the stream and the stream does work to help you, or you can swim up the stream and the water does work to impede you. But either way, work is being done. Now, what I want to say, not necessarily definitively, but it's something that I've used as an example pretty much all of my professional life, is that if you are following your vocation, then you are swimming with the stream. And if you are not following your vocation, you are swimming against the stream. So in your case, the work can be easy if you are with the stream, or very hard if you are struggling against the stream. And you know that from experience. When you are working according to your vocation, the work is easy. But it's still work. I mean, that's the real important point. There's a meme that goes around, choose a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life, which is very, very stupid. You do work. You work for all kinds of reasons, and some of the things you do in the job you love are aspects of the job that you don't love. So then you work particularly hard. But even when you are doing things that you love and you are dedicated to them and they're part of your vocation, you are still working. It's just not true to say that when you work for your vocation, you are not really working. It's easy work, maybe, or it's work that you enjoy, but it's still work. Work is work. Okay, now another meme that truly annoys me is one that you hear spouted. It's not really proverbial, it sounds almost biblical really, it's certainly puritanical, and that is, if you work hard enough, you will achieve your goals or your dreams or your ambitions. Well, that is just plainly false, but I hear it all the time. I was watching a video of an interview with Lady Gaga not long ago, and she was saying just that. She was saying, well, you know, I started as a teenager and I worked really hard and I got where I am now by working so hard. And then she turns to the audience and she says, so you see, if you work hard, you can get your dreams. And that's the point where I want to throw things, because that's just not true. It's like saying, I won the lottery, so if you work really hard playing the lottery, you can win too. See, the fact is that people who have succeeded in their dreams can look back and say, this is what I did to achieve it. But it doesn't mean that if everyone works hard, they too will achieve their dreams. There are all kinds of things that get in the way. So, if I work hard enough, I will be President of the United States. Well, a person who's President of the United States right now can say that, yeah, I worked really, really hard. But so did all the other candidates. I mean, maybe they didn't work as much, maybe some of them could have worked harder, but I'm sure a lot of them worked absolutely as hard as they could, and they didn't achieve it. And so there's the big mistake to think that if you don't achieve your goals, it's because you didn't work hard enough. Okay, well, I could put this into symbolic logic for you, and I'll do it briefly, but only briefly because it's not particularly interesting. If we say, if P then Q, P therefore Q, we have a correct syllogism. If something happens, then something else will happen, that is if P is true, then Q is true. So P is true, therefore Q is true. If it is Wednesday, my favorite restaurant serves fish and chips as a special. It is Wednesday, therefore there is fish and chips on the menu. That is a valid inference. You can't say if P then Q, Q is true, therefore P. It doesn't work backwards. You can't say there is fish and chips on the menu, therefore it is Wednesday. It could be Friday. Maybe they have fish and chips on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or so it could be Monday. You can't say if Q is true, then P is true. But you can say the opposite. If Q is not true, P is not true. Fish and chips are not on the menu, therefore it is not Wednesday. So if we say, if you work hard enough, you will achieve your dreams. So, not Q, I didn't achieve my dreams, therefore not P, I did not work hard enough. That's the mistaken conjecture, because the initial statement, if you work hard enough, you will achieve your dreams, is just not true. It's as simple as that. That doesn't work, and we have to be aware of that. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't work hard on our vocation, because we will achieve something. And what I'm ultimately getting at is that if we follow our vocation, we will be happy. It may not make a lot of money. In fact, there's a very strong chance that you won't. But you will be happy. So there's the big dilemma. In life, if you have a choice between making a lot of money and not following your vocation, or following your vocation and not making a lot of money, which will you choose? Well, I'm back at the river for my conclusion, and I want to talk a little bit more about going with the flow and going against the flow. And I want to talk about this in terms of everybody's life. That is, we're always going against the flow some of the time, and some of the time going against the flow can be productive. And sometimes we have to go against the flow most of the day. Sometimes our jobs go against the flow because we need to make money, and sometimes our vocation is not useful for making money. So there are all kinds of complexities. I've made things fairly simple for the moment, but I'm going to make them a little bit more complicated in the next video. But I'm going to start in the next video with the really crucial question of how you identify your vocation in the first place. One of the ways, of course, is identifying the flow of your life and knowing when you're going with the flow and when you are going against it. But that's going to be the topic of my next video. I'll see you then.